Like, when I'm having these conversations with you, I'm not like trying to come at you like I'm just trying to put you down. You know what I'm saying? Or try to.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. We are talking to you guys about love and marriage, DC episode 5. Listen, we're talking about Monique and talking about Chris, and I think one of the interesting things about these two is, as an audience, I think we're quite united. We're like wondering, Monique's energy is really, really off. But she has her reasons for why she's off, and I want to break it a little bit more down in this particular video. I'm trying to understand both sides because we want to see a marriage flourish, not divorce. But I have to say, we're going to need Monique to breathe a little bit. And I think it was encapsulated beautifully by the moment Chris said, "You've been waiting for so long. And I'm just trying to catch up to get to where you are. The frustration is you're wanting me to get to where you are right now because you've been waiting for so long." And the difficulty behind that is that now he's doing catch up. It's going to take some time, and she's going to need some patience to be able to do that. So we'll talk a little bit more about their relationship going forward. There'll be a part 2 of this where we talk about intimacy. The very thing that we want, intimacy, is the very thing we push away in our relationships. We'll break down Monique and Chris some more. So if you're new to the channel, do me a massive, massive favor. Like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notifications are up, loads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. I'm kind of looking sexy. Look at the chest, baby. All right, listen, let's get into the video. But before we do, drop a little intro and then we'll get the show going.
Little black, you know what time it is. Time it is.
Yes, guys, I hope you're staying hydrated. It's hot out there in them streets. Listen, let's talk a little bit about Monique and Chris, and we'll watch the video and we'll break it down some more.
Like belittle you or take away from what you do bring. I want to align. Like I don't.
Okay, beautiful stuff. I don't want to talk too deeply on this part because I want to do it for part 2. But she's saying she wants to align. She doesn't want to belittle him, but that's what she's been doing. That's actually what she's been doing in the past few weeks. The last 5 episodes I've seen, I would describe part of it belittling. I would describe part of it trying to push him away. And that's not what you actually wanted to do. What you wanted to do is come closer. You wanted to, like I said, you wanted to align. You wanted to be with him. You wanted him to know that you want to see more growth. But in your effort to do so, you ended up pushing your partner away because of your desperation to want this thing to happen right now. And sometimes we can do that to our partners. We can push them into a space where we're wanting something so desperately in that moment. Because we haven't had it for so long, we end up being impatient and pushing the person away. Now, this is not every relationship. A lot of you guys don't need to be in relationships that you're in. Let's keep it a buck. But since Monique and Chris are in a marriage and they're willing to work at it, there's a component where where Monique needs to just chill and breathe, because what she's doing right now is attacking a lot of times. And actually, I don't really ever hear much understanding. You will see it when I play the clip in a minute. When he goes to hug her and tells her about how, sometimes as men, we think X, Y, Z. She said, you don't have to think like the worst. As soon as he starts to voice out a particular thought that she doesn't agree with, she comes down there, crushes, and that is a judgmental spirit that won't make the person want to open up. You want him to be vulnerable, you want him to open up, you want him to show you what he feels, then you need to be open to listening to what he's got to say. You got to be open to listening to what he's actually saying to you. The camera's a bit wonky, I apologize, guys. Yeah. You got to be open to that. And if you're not open to it, all you're going to do is shut the door in his face, and the very thing you want won't come fruition.
I don't feel like we're like walking hand in hand together. I feel like it's very off balance, and I'm just trying to get the balance back. And I wouldn't be trying.
And that's fair enough as well. Sorry, I'm a bit high. That's fair enough as well. You want to get the balance back. You want to make sure that you guys are going in the same direction. You want that unity, right? And in a relationship, when you want that unity, it's about being able to meet at a compromising part of the road. Now, sometimes it's further along for you. Sometimes it's much closer to other person's ideals. But in this case, I see Monique being a bulldozer because she felt like she's had it for so long where she hasn't had what she wanted, that now she's just going to bulldoze. The trouble is, if you didn't speak up and you didn't make it a priority then, now trying to make it a priority now and forcing it through doesn't aid your particular stance. It doesn't aid you getting him across to where you can see. And because of the fact that I said at the beginning, did he have that capacity in the very beginning? I mean, clearly he's trying now, so he has a capacity in general. But I'm saying, did he have that capacity in the beginning to do what you asked him to do? Did you ask of him to do those things he asked him to do right now? Were you asking of him to be emotionally intelligent, to be more aware and more open, vulnerable? Were you asking for those things in the very beginning, or have you switched that lane suddenly? Because switching that lane and then not telling the other person, or not communicating that, or not letting the other person know, or knowing that that's what you wanted in the very beginning, but you ignored it because you had other things coming like finances, stability, security, a man of status, then now you can't really be trying to force it. You should be trying to aid and abet, grow with, help along, accommodate to get to that position. Because that's not how you started it. Right? Okay.
So desperately, if I didn't want.
I want it too, baby. Like, I'm trying to figure this thing out. This whole marriage thing don't come with no manual.
That's a beautiful moment where he goes to pick her up and goes to hug her. I mean, he's a strong man. Let's be honest, man. He picked her up like there was nothing. Picked her up like a strong man, and tears were flowing. And I get it. The tears are flowing because the frustration, the pain, this fear of losing your partner, having to start again if this doesn't work out. Thinking that this might not work out. I may need to quit. There's a real genuine fear in those particular spaces, and I totally get that aspect. I think anybody can get that aspect. What we're saying is, Monique, that fear, don't let it drive you to a place where you fight your man instead of actually working with. So like what I'm talking about is in this next scene, what you're going to see is a very lovely, intimate moment where he breaks past those walls, comes in, hugs her. Now, you guys have heard me say about this. When you're having an argument, one of the things that can reduce the argument is the touch. Oftentimes I'm talking about women to men, but in this space, you saw a change of levels. She was on the floor, he was above, he reached down, picked her up, gave her a hug, right? And in that moment, it broke the walls. In that moment, it broke the argument. In that moment, it broke the fight. What it didn't do, though, for Monique, is ask her to take a breath and breathe and think about what she's about to say next. Let's have a look what we're saying.
Like, I'm trying to figure it out just like you trying to figure it out. Like, I love you. Like, ain't nothing more important than trying to, be the man that you need, and I'm.
Now, in this moment, Chris is saying words. Like, some men will just pick you up and just be arguing you and not say anything. Chris is actually trying to say some words because he really wants to be able to get his point across, and be able to explain how he's feeling. He can see that he can see his wife's on the edge. Like, he doesn't want to lose his wife. He doesn't want to lose a woman that he loves. He does not want to lose a woman that he cares for. Clearly. And then in the next step, what you see is him explaining, saying, look, I love you. I care for you. I want you. I desire you. All those kind of things whilst hugging her, trying to make her feel safe emotionally. It's key. What's about to come next is when he explains this part.
I've been working on those things. Like, for the longest, I guess I dropped the ball because I feel like, all right, I'm here every night. I'm hands-on with our kids. I provide for you.
Pause. So now he's actually talking about where he said, you know what? I dropped the ball for a long time. This is somebody admitting where they've gone wrong. I've dropped the ball for a very long time. I thought that being with the kids, being with you, being there financially, emotionally, being there financially. Oh, my throat. Being there financially and being there physically was enough. That's my idea of what I thought I was doing a great job. So now we've got something to work with here. If we listen carefully, we've got something to work with, because what you just said is my idea originally was that once I'm here and once I financially take care of you, that's enough. The next step is obviously getting to that emotional aspect. But the fact that he's admitted that the financial and the physical was what he thought an image was, means that we can actually begin to change the image. Like, he's done half the work for you, Monique. He's actually giving you half the answers already, because now you know what image is in his mind, because we move by the image we're given, right? So whatever image we give ourselves, whatever image we've been taught, we go by that image. The Bible says we walk by faith, not by sight, right? But that faith, I look at it as an aspect of what you've been told, because the Bible says faith cometh by hearing the word of God. That faith cometh by hearing. Whatever you hear becomes part of your faith, becomes a part of your sight. So yes, we won't see it, but we will see it in your actions. That's why faith without works is dead, because real faith leads to works. So whatever faith that you hold will lead to a particular work. Whatever vision or image you hold will lead to a particular vision. And so now, and lead to a particular action. So now with him, that's his image, that's his action. Beautiful. We can now utilize that for our advantage, because now we can say, let's change that image. And the change of image comes through conversations. Okay. But also understanding where his image is coming from.
So in my mind, I think a lot of men think the same way.
Right. It's not about comparing yourself to the worst.
No, I'm not comparing.
It doesn't take long for Monique to come and destroy the safe space as always. Monique, like, I need you to chill. This is not even just a frustration anymore. I'm starting to think that this is Monique. Whenever you disagree, whenever you feel away, the brother is sharing his heart in this moment. Shut up and keep quiet and listen. And I say that with all respect. When I mean shut up, it means literally to anybody. Whenever someone's in that space, I say the same thing for the men too. And you're going to hear me say something about Chris earlier on as well. When someone is bearing their heart in terms of what, keep quiet and listen. Why is your first objective to talk? By the way, the shut up wasn't personal to Monique, by the way, just in case she watches it and thinks it's personal. It's not personal. I mean it in a general sense to my audience. Shut up. I didn't want to say be quiet, because sometimes be quiet is too nice. Shut up. Listen. You have 2 ears. Listen. Sometimes when we're dealing with our partners, male or female, woman or man, we talk too much. And in this instance, what Monique does is she doesn't listen, she responds. So instead of actually hearing what he's saying, she instantly wants to try and course correct it, right?
I think a lot of men think the same way.
Right. It's not about comparing yourself to the worst.
No, I'm not comparing myself to the worst. What I'm trying to explain to you how men think. Men.
The brother's explaining how men think, and Jenny might actually probably more explain how he thinks, right? A better question would have been like, that's how men think. Is that how you think? So I can get an understanding of where you're coming from. That would have been a better question. That would have been a better commentary. That would have been a better addition to try and get the answer you want, to understand where he's coming from. Because clearly he's not trying to shank you. Clearly he's not trying to finish you. Clearly he's not trying to break you. He wants to do these things, but is struggling to do it. And that's why I said more questions need to be asked. Sometimes there's way too much responding, not enough questions in terms of what's actually going on in your mind. And I've seen Monique do this several times. Whenever he starts to speak, her interrupting the flow. You're not going to get all the answers you want interrupting his speech. We want to solve the issue. We want to get him on side. We want to get him to be more emotional and vulnerable. How can you do that if every single time he begins to open up, you decide to say something? And then she actually broke the hug and walked away. I didn't walk away, but she began to move away, right? Look, his head is moved position.
Men don't think emotional in depth the way women think. But now I'm seeing where we are. We're not growing together in the same direction, like you said.
Now, of course, nobody's saying he's perfect. Nobody's saying that he hasn't made mistakes and that he isn't doing something that she would wish that no one's going to say that he's perfect, basically, right? We know that he's got things to work on. He needs to work on being more emotionally vulnerable. And in order to do that, we need a safe space to do that. So Monique, we need you to help you to get him where we need to get him to. You know what I'm saying? So we need to just chill on the responses and now start being very much energetic in the listening phase. That's all. Listen more. Your answers are actually in what he says. And it's not even like he's unwilling to talk. He's talking. Right? You wanted an aha moment in Africa. Maybe he doesn't get an aha moment in Africa, but he got an aha moment when you guys had that conversation and obviously he saw you crying. He got that aha moment. What I don't want it to be is don't think that the aha moment comes whenever you start crying. That's not it either. Or whenever we have an argument, the aha moment comes. That's not it. But there are times where we do have these situations where an aha moment does come. Let's leave it there. We'll go into part 2 as well. Part 2, like I said, we're going to talk about the fact that sometimes what you crave is the very thing you push away. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded.